OMG, you're back here at the Family Balancing Act. I am absolutely out of my mind to be back here. I can't believe it. Here we go. So, as we begin this journey back to the Family Balancing Act, I wanted to mention and honor my dear friend and former co host, Cynthia Henrich. She is now shining her wisdom and her love down on us from heaven. I honestly had a really, really hard time imagining doing the show without her. We were like two peas in a pod. We could read each other's minds, and she was my buddy, and I was hers. But I continued to get signs and intuitive hits to just go ahead and do this, to get back in it. So she's not gone. I know her earthly body is, but I know she's right here with us. So, Cynthia, thank you so very much for your beautiful soul and wisdom and friendship. I feel you, my friend. Thank you. So, the Family Balancing Act. What is it? Well, what's family? Family is the people you live with sometimes. It's the people that surround you. They are your a traditional family. They're also untraditional families. Sometimes it's just friends and it's a neighborhood or it's people you pull together because your own family is not there for you, your own original family, blood. But it's about love and the love that surrounds us. Families are truly a living, breathing entity and they need to be nurtured. I mean, from our nuclear family to our global family. And to be perfectly honest, it starts often with mom, or certainly with the CEO of the family. And that can be dad too, or that can be two moms, two dads. It could be a multiple of presentations, grandparents. But it's so very important that this that families are honored and that they're taken care of and that they're nurtured. So then what exactly is balance? Well, there really is no such thing in a family other than of balance, other than short stints of what appears to be balance. I mean, balance is actually kind of a moment where things feel safe, static, but safe. Balance is actually incredibly elusive. It's sort of like vapor or a fart, actually. Truly, balance is just a wobble, where you feel like you've lost your grounding. And a wobble is actually growth, and it's not necessarily very comfortable. Way back when I first launched the first version of the Family Balancing Act, I actually believed that balance was a real thing to attain. So, like a diamond or getting to the top of Kilimanjaro. I would just keep reaching because by God, I was going to get there and drag my family with me, controlling every possible thing that I could, from a nap time to meal time to making my husband do his part. Yep, his part in the household. That is, of course, after he dragged his tired behind back in the door, I'd hand him his firstborn and say, "Here you go. I'm exhausted and I'm done." Blah, 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 blah. I've done laundry, I've cleaned up, I've worked, I've made food, I fed the baby, and then I had to begin it all again. He, of course, had also worked, but his work was from 6:30 until 13 hours later when he came home after an incredibly long commute. Now, my mother would always say, uh, often like fathers work from morning till night, and a mother's job is never done. It's 24 hours a day. And that I believe is true. But is that balance? Yeah, right. As life carried on over the years of children growing up, braces, broken limbs, failed exams, mine, of course, and theirs, football and soccer wins, girlfriends, boyfriends, heartbreaks, but no longer skin knees. Skin knees and a chipped tooth felt more like balance, the more distance the experience of that was. Now there's been weddings and a grandchild and health issues for loved ones and the passing of the older generation, putting me, yep, at the front line. The one who's to be somewhat wise, right? I'm supposed to be in a place where I know what I'm doing in this life and that I have found that balance. But actually, what I have found is getting to the wobble and being comfortable with the unstable. The uncertain nature of it has, yes, been challenging, but it's also been exhilarating. I've been pushed to keep growing because honestly, without the wobble, I would be static and that energy would be elusive, just like that fart, although a fart can linger. Let me make myself really, really clear. I am not in no way will I ever be an old fart. I mean, call me a crazy granny lady, but I'm certainly not an old fart. My focus as a holistic, integrative, functional medicine, and I'm a forever student, health coach, is gut health, otherwise known as digestive health. I call it gut to butt health, yet actually the digestive tract starts in the mouth. So cheek to cheek, clean and healthy all the way. And it puts your body in a state of homeostasis. And that is the closest you'll ever get to balance. So here's to accepting the wobble of the Family Balancing Act because we need to wobble. And actually, I stole that from my yoga teacher. She's always talking about kind of, you're trying to do the tree pose and just, don't expect to stay there. You need to wobble. Oh, and I wobble, but I'm getting stronger. And the more you wobble, the more you know where you want to center yourself. So, welcome again to the Family Balancing Act. Take a very deep breath, exhale, and we'll be right back with today's amazing guest, author Pam Lobley. Why can't we just play? What I did when I realized my kids were way too busy. Years ago, we started the Family Balancing Act, and it was, you know, great name, we thought, family balancing, balancing family. But the truth is, what is balance? I mean, really, balance? There really is no such thing in a family other than what short stint a balance can mean. I mean, balance can be a moment where we feel very safe, static, but safe. Balance is actually pretty elusive. It's sort of like vapor or a fart. Truly, balance is just a wobble that has lost its grounding. And, a wobble, that's growth. And it's not necessarily comfortable. Way back when we did launch this first version of the Family Balancing Act, I truly believed that the balance was a real thing. It was a thing to be attained, like a diamond or getting to the top of Kilimanjaro. I would just keep reaching and reaching because by God, I was going to get there and I was going to drag my family with me right to the top. And how would I do that? I did it by controlling everything possible that I could, from nap time to mealtime to making my husband do his part in the household. After he dragged his tired behind in the door, I'd hand him his firstborn and I'd say, "Here you go. I'm exhausted. And and I've done blah 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 blah, laundry, clean up, made food, feed the baby, and then of course I did it all over again." He of course had gone to work at 6:30 in the morning and then came back 13 hours later. And there's your balance, right? Well, as life carried on over the years of children growing up, braces and soccer wins and football wins and broken limbs and failed exams and boyfriends and heartbreaks and all sorts of things happening, but no longer skin knees. So, what do? I keep carrying on because skin knees and a chipped tooth felt more like balance the more distant they became. Now, now there's been a wedding and a grandchild, health issues for loved ones, and the passing of older generation. Yep, which puts me at the front line. The one who is somewhat wise. Well, I found that getting to the wobble and being comfortable with the unstable, uncertain nature of just saying yes and it being a challenge is so exhilarating. So I'm learning to live in the wobble at this point in my life. I've pushed and kept growing because honestly, without wobble, I'd be static or elusive, just like a fart. And let me make myself perfectly clear. I mean, really clear. I am not, nor will I ever be, an old fart. I mean, call me crazy granny lady, but do not call me an old fart. Anyway, my focus as a holistic, integrative, functional medical, yep, I'm a forever student, health coach is gut health, otherwise known as digestive health. Yeah, I call it gut to butt health or, you know, just cheek to cheek. But yet the digestive tract starts in the mouth. And did I know that stuff when I was raising my kids? Did I really know it? I was stuffing Dunkin' Donuts into their mouths just to give me some peace. I was stuffing McDonald's. I haven't even purchased anything at McDonald's in, I don't know, 20 years. But I was stuffing that stuff into their mouths. But I just, kind of kept going until I sat at the family table and I realized that nobody was talking other than eating the McDonald's in front of their faces, jamming them down and pulling out their cell phones, and nobody was talking. And I thought, something's got to change. I have lost my balance. I am no longer in control. I cannot take care of this crowd like this. So I went back to school. And the more I delved into health and wellness, I realized that everything does really start in the gut. What we feel in our gut, what we put into our gut, be it thoughts, words, other people's stuff, food. Food is the last thing that really affects the gut. Feelings and the energy around us is the first point. So yes, the digestive tract starts in the mouth, cheek to cheek, clean and healthy, all the way, puts your body in homeostasis. This is the closest thing you're ever going to get to balance. So here's to accepting the wobble of the Family Balancing Act. So take a deep breath and exhale. And we'll be right back with today's amazing guest, Pam Lobley, author of Why Can't We Just Play? What I Did When I Realized My Kids Were Too Busy. So take a deep breath. You're at the Family Balancing Act.
You've listened to the shows on CTR, and perhaps you've found yourself thinking, maybe I should host my own show, but I don't know how. It's easier than you think. from the beginning with private coaching sessions to your own live broadcasts. CTR Network will prepare you on every level to share your knowledge, expand your brand, and take your business to the next level. At CTR, we nurture your vision and make it a radio reality. Contact Cameron Steele at 425-221-3646 or Cameron at ctrnetwork.com and put your dream into motion today.
All righty, welcome back. We are so very excited to have our special guest here at the Family Balancing Act. So, in a culture where children do too much, what happens when you let your children do nothing at all? Why can't we just play? Chronicles one glorious summer when Pam let her kids take off from the scheduled activities, no camps, classes, or any kind of structure at all. They had an old fashioned 1950s style summer. She learned how raising kids has changed so drastically since then. And most importantly, how to stop time once in a while and just play. I'm so honored and thrilled to introduce you to my very good friend, Pam Lobley. And yes, we've known each other, a while since college. She's brilliant and a comedic writer of plays, columns, and books, and her columns have appeared in many newspapers and websites. Her memoir, Why Can't We Just Play? What I Did When I Realized My Kids Were Way Too Busy, is available wherever books are sold. So, welcome, my friend. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you so
Yay!
much, Mo. It's great to be here with you. What a day.
What a day. I tell you, I am so excited. And I just think back on all of the play we used to have, when not,
Yeah.
and I haven't known you since you were little, but when we were in college, we were certainly playing then. And then
Well,
what
in
happened?
college, we were studying, that's right, we were studying theater. So it was all about the play,
Right,
really.
right. It's all about the play. It's all about the play.
But somewhere along the line, play gets busied out of our lives. And it's an
Yeah.
effort to return to it.
Yeah. So what happens? I mean, what happened?
Well, so I can tell you what, what happened with me. I had two kids, as you know, and the first part of motherhood I found so delightful. I mean, exhausting, but the toddler phase and the early childhood phase is so full of fun and wonder. And then all of a sudden they go into grade school, and I found myself just keeping up with the general flow of things, signing my kids up for soccer and karate and band, and we were really busy, too busy, too busy for kids who are 7 and 10 years old. And one night I was tucking my older one, Sam, into bed, and it had been a typical busy day. It was probably 8:30 on a school night or 9 o'clock. And we're having our cozy little tuck in. And all of a sudden he started crying and saying, Mom, I never have time to just play. And I was astonished because to me, all we did was play. When I picked him up at school, we would stay on the playground and I would let them play. And then he did little league and he did rec basketball and he did karate and he did all these things that to me, I thought were play. But to him, play was I get to go in the backyard with a friend and do whatever I want. Or I take out a bunch of Legos on the floor and there's no time limit to how long I get to goof around with them. Or I can just put on a cape and make up a story for myself in the backyard. And those were the things that had been completely scheduled out of his life. So I let them take the whole summer off from their activities and quote just play.
That is, and that's what is quite clear in your book. I love your book. I love the energy of it. I love the humor, and I love
Thank
the
you.
honesty,
Yeah.
because honestly, the honesty is so poignant because your kids took off the summer, but did you?
Excellent point. So, as you know, mom's the one that keeps it all in balance. So, yes, it was great to give them the summer off from activities. So I didn't have to shuffle them around here, there, and everywhere. But then it becomes now you're at home with your kids all day. Are you going to entertain them? Are you going to let them be bored? How is that going to work? How is that more time off for me? So you're right in that about halfway through the summer, I realized, wow, I gave them the permission to play, but not myself. Like, and
mhm.
that was definitely a reckoning halfway through the summer about, well, how could we all dial it back? How could we all be intentional about how we use our time at whatever season of life that we're in?
That's you were again so honest about this because we get so lost in our everyday junk and
Yeah.
the balance, the control, the just trying to get through. And if I stick my kid in soccer practice, oh, he's having fun
So I
while
can
I
check
do the
that
laundry
box.
or do whatever, or meet my friends for coffee. But even when you're meeting your friends for coffee, it's not play. You're not, unless you're
It might be, but it might not be.
right,
Absolutely. And I
right,
do feel too that there's a lot of pressure and conformity in our world now with raising kids about the things that they're supposed to do. We're supposed to be improving them. We're supposed to be grooming them. We're supposed to be getting them ready for college. And that becomes like a huge emotional strain on parents because you're
right.
constantly second guessing yourself. Did I do enough? Am I doing it right? And it's what a drag. It's a huge drag.
It's a huge drag. And somebody actually said to me recently that they were they said, "Well, every generation we've got to make them better." And I said,
Oh,
"Wow, better? What do you mean?" And it's like, "Well, we're supposed to really try to create a lifestyle for our children that they can, expand more and do more and learn more, be smarter than we were. They'll be, they'll hit
mm,
the moon with all of their achievements."
yeah.
But the truth is, as far as I was concerned when answering, I said, "Well, what about if we just reel it back and we come back and we maybe 1950s, 1940s, 1930s, 1920s, let's go into the 1800s, as difficult as it was, people worked together. They
Yeah.
played together. They worshiped together.
There's
And it wasn't,
definitely a lot of fragmentation, I think, in the world today. The way that, like you say, you drop your kid off here, everybody goes in their own direction. And, we all try to have dinner together at night as a family. But I've been noticing, and I think that's maybe why the homeschooling movement has picked up so much steam, is that families just want to spend more time together.
yeah,
So
I
it's
think that
hard.
the homeschooling um, is brilliant. Uh, Families have more, again, it's control or more say so in how their child will be taught and what they will be taught
Hmm.
because the school systems have gotten a little out of control with power, and that's that micro macro business we got going on.
Yeah.
It's like,
And I do think on that micro level, that desire to be with your kids when they're little, because they're not
mhm.
going to, I mean, please God, they're not going to stay home forever. So, so, you have a window of time when you can influence them, but also when you can enjoy them, when you can
Right.
be together and get to know your children and their crazy unique personalities, and let your family be an expression of who everybody is
Mhm.
instead of kind of following the template of what everybody else is doing. And I think that's the thing that I learned the most from this summer was that we're not like everybody else, and that's
Mhm.
okay. Maybe some kids thrive on a lot of structure, but mine did not. And so it's okay to just take that away and make it up as you go along.
Can you, for our listeners, describe one of those days that you did?
Okay.
One.
So at the time of this summer, the boys were 7 and 10. And I was working at home part-time as a writer, so I could work at home. Now we all know how challenging that is. It sounds so easy. Oh, just work at home. So in the morning is when I would work, and I would sit the kids in front of the television with their toys, and they would basically just play Legos and watch television until about 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 11 o'clock, depending. And then I would turn the television off, and the rule was it would no screens for the rest of the day until dinner time. And then we would just go outside. So we have a town pool. Most of the time we would go to the town pool. I would try to arrange play dates. Maybe we would have a day of errands, which was their worst nightmare.
But we're having fun, kids.
But darn it. Um, and basically we just I tried to actually let them play on their own and figure it out. I tried to let them get bored. I tried to withstand the whining when they got bored. Uh, because on the other side of boredom, there's always some great creativity. They would invent a game, they would figure something out. Um, and for the most part, it worked well. The biggest challenge, honestly, is that all the other kids were in activities.
Mhm.
So finding ways to meet up with other kids so that they could have independent free play was probably the biggest challenge, honestly. And you know, it ended up okay because of the pool. Thankfully, a lot of kids would go to the
Yeah, a little
pool.
water thrown
Yeah,
in.
yeah, and
Um,
a meeting place.
did you find that that your kids and I know that they're close, but did they get closer during this time because they had to depend on each other?
Well, at that age, they were pretty close. They had a lot of the same interests, in terms of building Legos or shooting off Nerf guns, playing pretend, all that kind of stuff. Um, but so I wouldn't say they got closer. I would say actually, frankly, let's be honest, they bickered like crazy because if they didn't have enough time, if they didn't see enough of their own friends, they got sick of each other,
Hmm.
especially if we had a few days of rain. But but so what? I I mean, they bickered, they were close, they weren't close. I mean, it all somehow was just good family life.
And that's the point. It's a good family life.
Yeah.
And actually, when you have those moments of the bickering, they're learning how to communicate. They're learning boundaries. They're learning tolerations, like what they're going to tolerate and where they're going to put up a boundary. I think our kids, I know, well, from my own experience, are my greatest teachers. They teach me how to parent. I didn't get into this job of parenting like
Yeah.
because I, got a degree in it. Oh, and I have a master's and a doctorate
Yeah.
too. Not it was like, what? Did you
Yeah.
just talk back to me?
Yes, they
And
did.
yeah, and they were building boundaries when I was definitely in their face about something.
Mm,
They'd be like, "No."
yeah. And I
And
think this is one of the things that we're seeing more studies on, which is that kind of independence and freedom is how kids learn, how they learn to be resilient or put up boundaries or figure out how to, all the executive functioning that they need to learn. If they're constantly hovered over,
mhm,
with a schedule, with teachers, with coaches and activities, then they don't ever have that moment where they need to negotiate. We're on the
yeah.
playground and let's decide if he was safe or out. There's no coach to say. They have to argue and figure it out for themselves.
And don't we know that when that happens, there's always some parent coming out of the stands going, "My
Absolutely.
kid was safe." and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
and then kids are learning from that too.
Yeah.
They're watching, how so and so's dad just reamed out the coach.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 12-year-old, and I had this, that my son was the 12-year-old umpire who had to break them up.
Oh, wow.
It's like, whoa. And in that moment, I saw great negotiating skills with my son, that he was able to take two adults acting like hyenas and separate
Wow.
them and go, "You're out and you're out."
That's great.
and but our kids are so smart and so resilient that really it's the parents that need to learn.
Yeah,
So
we need to trust them a little bit more. Trust that they can
definitely.
handle it. Trust that they can, get in a fight or have a bad recess and bounce back.
Right. Now, what during this time period, this summer, what did you learn? And then I want to know, what did your husband learn?
Well, what I learned really was how important it was to look at my children as individuals and stop thinking about like checking the boxes of how I should be raising them. All the things that you're supposed to do, the activities that they're supposed to do, the classes they're supposed to take, all those types of things, and to look more intentionally, overused word, but true, at who they are and what would work for them. So, like for instance, my older one, Sam, just really needs to be around people all the time. He really needed friends. And my younger one, Jack, was happy with like two or three close friends. Like he doesn't need a lot. So then being able to sort of help them, create the social life that uh, and support, those types of things. So, and that kind of ties into too as they get older and they follow their interests, getting to know who they are instead of like, well, you should be doing this because everybody else is doing it. Well, maybe, those things aren't interesting to your child or so. So I think that's the thing that I learned and took with me still to this day. It's really hard, as you know, even with adult kids to say,
Hmm.
well, I think they should be doing X, Y, Z. And then to say, well, no, it's their life and they get to choose. So let them be who they are and try to look the
Take a
other
deep
way.
breath
Take a
and
deep
let it
breath
go.
and
Right.
let it go. Yeah. I don't know what my husband learned, Mo. We'll have to have him on the show to find out. You can
Oh.
have him on and ask him.
He learned to relinquish his lawn. I love that.
Yeah. He still has not learned that. I'm sorry. He's still he still is quite devoted to the lawn.
There's it's just the way Pam starts off, you start this book off, and about the lawn story is hilarious because there are a lot of people, a lot of men, and there are women also who are gardeners who are just, uh, nobody's walking on their lawn, nobody's stepping on their flowers,
The
nobody,
lawn
you know,
is just
children.
to look at. We don't
It's
play
a
on the
sacred
lawn. We don't
space, right?
absolutely.
And even in a time when water short, like they're saying, oh, water shortages and whatever, you can't water your lawn. Well, those people are still finding a way to get it done.
Bill would call me from the city just to like say, hey, like check in middle of the day. What are you doing? He'd be working. And I'd say, oh, the kids have, Paul and Nora over and they're playing on the lawn. And you could hear the tension in his voice. They're playing on the lawn?
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so great. So, oh my gosh. I don't know. I wanted to ask you this, and then I have my own little story around it. Is Do you have a memory of a time when you felt completely unglued as a mother,
Well,
and what did
certainly
you
more
do to
than
get
one.
through it? Well,
So,
one big, one that you
well,
might remember.
one that's actually in the book fairly early on, and it was
Hmm.
another turning point of how I realized like we have got to slow down. Like this is a ridiculous hamster wheel that we're on. Um, I drove Sam to a birthday party. It was a, remember kids' birthday parties all the time and how
Hmm.
excited they would get for them. And this was a really great one. It was a uh, set of twins that were like two of his best friends, boy girl twins. And the mom was having this party in the backyard, which are the best, funnest parties for that age. They were going to have a slip and slide and all kinds of ridiculous games. It was a summer party and he was so excited. And so anyway, we got all ready, we did the thing, and we pull up at the house at the appointed time, and the guests were leaving. I had messed up the time to the party. The party was 2 to 4. For some reason, I had remembered that it started at 4. I cannot
So
even tell you, moms out there, I'm sure you feel me. I felt like the lowest of the low of the low. Sam burst into tears and I wanted to burst into tears. I just couldn't believe how I could make such a stupid mistake. But of course, I was just completely overwhelmed all the time. So anyway, luckily this mom is a good friend of mine, and we went inside, and he just stayed and played over there, and it ended up sort of okay. But that was definitely a turning point when I thought, my gosh, if I can't even get my kids to a Saturday afternoon birthday party on time, I need a major reality check about how I'm conducting my life.
well, I totally hear you. I actually did that
You
to
did.
yeah, to my eldest, and he was about, I don't know, 6, and he went to a friend's party at the time it ended. And he got there, burst into tears. I had the big loser thing flashing on my
Oh,
chest. Loser,
it's
loser,
the
loser.
worst.
And then they invited us in, and he was able to finish opening up the gifts with her. And I think
Okay.
he's okay today. And
Yeah.
today's actually his birthday, and he's 34 years old. Yes.
Wow. So he's
So
gotten past it.
I think he has. I pray
But
he has.
And I'm sure Sam has, but you and I haven't.
I
Notice.
know. I know it's that mother guilt, and that's, enough. We have to
Enough.
release
Enough.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I think, like, when I think of one of my toughest days, or a tough day as a mom, like when everything was going completely awry, was, I have multiple ones also, but one that really sticks in my mind is that I had all four kids, and I'm running around like a maniac trying to get people out the door to school and get them where they had to go. I had a middle schooler, and then
You have 4 kids.
four kids.
It's
Yeah.
just
So I had
letting the listeners know. Okay.
yes, yeah, four kids, middle schooler, you know, two grammar school ones, and then one in preschool. And it was like complete havoc. And as I'm getting in the car, I look over and I see that there's a hole in the window to the basement, just the right size for a baseball. And I'm thinking, oh, how, like, has that been there for like how long? Like, how long has that been there? And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, and we're late now. And I'm like, how long has that been there? And nobody answered. No one would narc on the others. So no one
That's
did
nice.
it, actually. My fifth
Ah,
child, no one. So then get them to school. I'm like, oh, so I get back home. Now the preschooler didn't go yet, so now I'm dragging that one back with me.
mhm.
And I get in the house as I'm staring at that open,
Yeah.
busted window, going, I've got to call this person. I've got to call somebody now and to fix it. And I walk into the kitchen, and there my my what do you call it? My dishwasher was overflowing onto the floor
Oh,
because I had
perfect.
started it before I left. I thought, my gosh, did I not close the door? No, the pipe, the
Oh,
pipe was broken. So that was all over the floor. And I was like, oh, oh. So I was throwing stuff down. Now I've got to call, somebody to service
right. A
that.
plumber.
Plumber. That's it. Thank you, plumber. And then I'm dragging the kid upstairs with me, Kevin upstairs with me. And I get upstairs and I open the door to my bedroom. And there's a hole in the wall and a swarm of bees in my bedroom. I just, all I could do was take them out of there, close the door, and like, just like, I start to laugh. I
My
was like, you
gosh.
got me. Was this the plague next? Then I went into the laundry room, because I think I had to feed the cat or something, and this was going to be it. And then I had to make those calls, only to find out that the washing machine was also
Oh
busted.
my gosh.
So that was probably one of the roughest days as a mother.
I would think so.
And then it didn't even really involve what the children were doing until then they got home, and the havoc, because now I've got people working in the house. And I'm trying to keep everybody happy, and they're bored. They're bored because now we're not
That's a
going out
shame.
to do the things I said I do after school with them, because I couldn't. I had
Yeah.
to take care of the household. So
Huh.
boredom, you have to learn how to work with boredom.
Yeah. And the only way to do it is to do it. So letting our kids be bored, hopefully will, teach them so that they can use that coping skill in their lives. It's very hard today because we don't ever have to be bored. We can just stick our face in our phone and we never have to let our mind sort of unwind. So,
Right. And truly, like, if the parents, if we're not doing it, if we're not being bored and working with boredom, and showing what that could be, that silence, that
mm,
space,
hmm,
how will they ever learn?
I don't know.
They
I
don't
have
learn
to
it.
say though, as an adult, I sort of miss being bored
Yeah.
because because there's I mean, I guess the only time I could say I'm actually bored is if you're standing in line waiting for something, but if you're anywhere, there's always 5,000 things to do or to
Mhm.
think about. And really that sort of total lack of um urgency is such a wonder of childhood. They don't have a bunch of chores in their head, or hopefully they don't. And so the ability to be bored is almost like a gift that kind of gets less and less as they get older. So
Mhm.
maybe we can think of it like we're letting them experience boredom. It's a gift to them when they're
Maybe if it were
younger.
called something else.
Maybe.
Boredom's got such a weird connotation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I would say, "Mom, I'm so bored." And that would be like using every swear word
She would get
that
mad.
ever existed, and then there would be this, my mother would turn into a witch at this point,
So
and
funny.
and hand me hand me her broom. No, hand me, yeah, dishes to do, laundry to close. I'll show you what boredom is. You know, it's like there is
Yeah.
no,
There's something worse than boredom. It's called chores.
chores, not that.
Chores. Yeah.
Give me boredom.
Yeah.
Right. I think that we need to know that boredom is actually a sacred space. It really
Yes.
is. And to just go with the flow. I mean, there's so much to be found in that boredom space.
Hmm.
So,
I,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say you just have to have the kind of the fortitude to get past the little bit of whining that happens first. The minute you tell them turn off the video games and go outside, or just turn off the TV or whatever, there's going to be, or at least in my house, howling. It was howling. Why? I don't want to, blah, blah. But if you can just kind of ride past the first 10 minutes of that, I think, and they realize, okay, I'm not going to get my iPad back. They'll find
Mm-hmm,
something to do. I, I
mm-hmm.
I really have met very few kids that would rather be on an iPad than be running around outside with a chosen friend. It's just getting past that initial adjustment of, oh, I'm not on that now. I'm going to do something else. And then I think hopefully their fun and own creativity takes over.
Yeah, and I think that kids, certainly in this time period when COVID hit, the whole COVID thing. I have another name for it, but I'm not going to say it online around air.
Okay.
But it's that really messed our children up. They weren't
Yeah.
able to freely do that. And when it first started, everybody was wearing these masks, and these
Yeah.
kids were not able to fully communicate with their friends and run around outside, and that then stops growth,
Yeah.
really.
I think it's very, yeah, it definitely stunted a lot of social growth. I
And the
think,
effects of it are still happening. They
yes.
really are.
Well, how about now they're recommending that, every adult, every child and adult up to age 65 needs to be screened for anxiety. Did you see the latest
Yes.
pediatric, or not, whatever it is, the FDA or whoever recommends these things? So my question is, what, after 65, you don't have to be screened? You're not anxious? It stops
I don't know.
then?
We're not there yet, but it's
But yeah,
it's like,
but
so I
it's
guess I'll just stay anxious, right?
yeah, yeah. Anyway, it's just a sad commentary on how we have the world has just, why is the world so difficult to navigate? It's
Yeah.
just so it just seems so
But
hard for everybody.
I think we've given our power away. We've given our power away to the politics, and then it's exhausting. Sometimes it's just better, like with our kids, even we go, "Can't you just fix this for me?"
Hmm. Yeah.
And adults become like children in that situation. So our children become, like even younger than their years. They
Hmm.
want it fixed. They want everything to go nice and work
Yeah.
out.
I think that's another thing I learned from that summer is to lower my expectations. Because I think we expect everything to be done quickly, perfectly. We all look at pictures online and see how our house is supposed to look neat and our kids are supposed to be successful and our stomachs are supposed to be flat. And it doesn't have anything to do with reality, and it just sets you up to feel lousy.
Yeah.
So if we could
Yeah.
just somehow, be a little happier with a realistic picture, it
Right.
might reduce our anxiety.
Right. I tell you, it's a process, but your book is amazing. And can you tell our listeners two things? You have a book club, right? You do a book club?
So yeah, so over the summer, um, I people who are reading my book were kind of posting on Instagram about how they liked it, and I talk a lot, very honestly, about um, just the sacrifices that spending more time with your children uh, mean. It is a fact that you're going to give up personal time. It is a fact that you're probably going to be frustrated, and I think that was resonating with a lot of people, particularly moms whose kids are not yet high school age, because once they get high school, they're kind of doing more things on their own. Um, so anyway, I started a book club where I announce it on Instagram, so you can follow me on Instagram, Pam Lobley, and I'm doing one this Thursday. So I'll send around a Zoom link. And if you've read the book or you're curious about the book, you can just jump on and we can just sort of share and, complain or just find some community
That's
support.
great.
Because I
Mhm.
think it's really important to, like, for me anyway, I always found that the best medicine for whatever I was feeling was talking to other moms who are going through the same thing, or
Mhm.
dads, and realizing that you're not alone. Your kid isn't crazy. They're all crazy, and that's okay. And it's just a really great comforting feeling. So that's kind of my idea with the book club, is that you to just kind of have fun and feel a sense of community together.
Mhm. That's great. Amazing. And can you maybe give our listeners a tipping the balance tip? I know you've given a few in there, but what's something that you really feel would help to tip the balance in how to begin to even do this, some
Yeah,
maybe do a 1970s summer, I don't know,
yeah,
how
yeah.
do you, or even a winter break, or
Yeah, okay,
get
so
there.
that you bring up an interesting point, because one of the things that people always say when they read the book or they talk about the book is, well, you were at home, I wasn't working, at a job outside the home, and so how do you do it? And I really want to say that, any space you can clear for your child is worthy, whether it's evenings, weekends, where you can choose to not have a scheduled activity and just hang out. So, like, again, lower your expectations. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, no matter who you are. So, to just try to have some one afternoon or an evening where you're not doing activities and you don't have expectations and you're just kind of hanging out and enjoying each other. Anybody can do that.
Hmm.
And for people that have their kids like in after school daycare things, that I would recommend the ones like the least aspirational ones. like like
Yeah, regimented.
our grade school, the aftercare was like, you got a snack and then you went outside for the longest possible recess, whatever weather would permit, and then maybe you come in and did some homework, but there wasn't really, it was just play. Well, that's
Right,
pretty good.
right.
So, anyway, so that would be, and the other thing I'll say is what I already said, is I think it's so important to talk to other friends and moms and share. It's really hard to share honestly now, Mo. I don't know if you found that,
Hmm.
but I feel like when our kids were little, it was so easy to say things like, ugh, the potty training is not going well. Or, like, he will not eat anything except for a chicken nugget. Like, that is it. But then when they get older and their problems get more complicated and you're protecting their privacy, they have acne or they got bullied or lots of worse
Hmm.
things, you don't want to talk about it because it's just hard. It's hard to share. And then there's so much loneliness, but we need to
Yes.
share, whether it's reading a book or listening to a podcast or talking with some trusted friends. That to me puts me back in balance, knowing that I'm not crazy, that
Alone.
things are kind of hard. Yeah, things are hard. Life is hard. Fun
Hmm.
too. I don't want to be a downer.
No,
but
but
things are challenging.
they are challenging, and to find that peace, that balance, as you say, even though it's fleeting at times,
It's fleeting.
um, to be able to get calm as a mother, and to calm your child down, because if your child is anxious about, I don't know, being on the football team because everybody's bigger than them, but that's a dream they've always had, and you're scared to death of letting them go on the football team
Yes.
because your brother broke his
Oh
collarbone
gosh.
in it,
Hmm.
whatever that might be. um, for you to show your anxious, stressed out stuff around an aspiration and dream of theirs isn't going to help the situation.
It's true.
And you try to, you can bring in friends and then talk to them about it. But, everybody has a different point of view.
Mm.
So you have to find your tribe. Because if
Yes.
you go to the football moms whose sons are like,
Oh,
they're in seventh grade and they're 6'2"
yeah.
and 200
Like
pounds
a full beard, 3
with a full
tattoos.
beard, which is like, whoa, what are you feeding that child? It's going to be, you know, it's going to be challenging.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just kind of not going to work. So you do have to find your tribe. Well, I am so honored and amazed and thrilled that you were able to join us today.
Thank
And you
you,
will come back,
Mo.
I hope,
I'll
please.
be back, definitely.
And just if you could tell everybody once again where they can find you. And
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So the book is Why Can't We Just Play? What I Did When I Realized My Kids Were Way Too Busy. It's available wherever books are sold, ebook, audiobook. And you can find me on Instagram at Pam Lobley. And I try to post regularly, but there's definitely a book club coming up this Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's only 30 minutes because we're all busy. So we need, so we're going to get it done in half an hour.
you got it. You got it. So thank you again so very much. Take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you're not alone here on the Family Balancing Act.
Did you know that you can rate our shows on iTunes? Yep, you can share your thoughts about the topics, the hosts, and the special guests. You can also leave a suggestion. Then, when you're done,
So
rate the show. The hosts love your feedback, and others appreciate it. So next time you download a show, take a second to leave your thoughts and rate it.
Welcome back to the Family Balancing Act. So we're going to take some time now for some mom zents meditating moments. So if everybody can just take a deep breath and exhale. And in this moment, to just put your hands on your heart and realize and take in how valued you are, how important you are, how loved you are. But it starts with you honoring yourself. And I know you've got a lot going on with family and with life and everything that comes at you. And there's a lot going on these days. So put your hands on your heart, close your eyes, and we'll just go through this for a couple moments. Take in a deep breath all the way down to your gut, that gut health, and release it. Exhale. And take in another deep breath. And exhale. And now when you take in another breath, as you take in this breath, see your heart, that beautiful heart of yours, right in the middle of your chest. And take in a deep breath, this time filling your heart with all of the air and love. And exhale. And keep breathing into your heart this bright, bright light. And hold it. Hold it. It's so warm. It's wonderful. It loves you so much. You are a value. You are important. You are amazing. You are love. And release. And now take in another deep breath again into your heart. And see that one person in your life. It can be yourself. It can be your children, collectively. It could be your partner, and place them in your heart. They might need more love, and share your love with them. Take in another deep breath and exhale. And another deep breath all the way in, filling up your heart with so much love, so much love. And as you slowly release, sit with that for a moment and just relax. And then slowly open your eyes and come back to the room. Come back to your space. And if you can, stretch, stretch out, stretch, and take in all of life. And know that balancing isn't what it's about. It's about the wobble. It's about just going with the flow and allowing life to happen and laughing at it when it doesn't, or certainly acknowledging that you're safe, that there is no urgency other than obviously a big accident or something, but there is no urgency for you to do anything, to beat yourself up, because everything has a solution, everything. So I want to thank you so very, 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 very much for joining us today on our first episode. And I'm thrilled to be back, and I can't wait to get to know everybody. And please check me out at www.maureenhuntley.com, and certainly here at CTR and all of the podcast forums. There's so many that I haven't really yet to even ingest all of the information, but I'm very, very excited. The Family Balancing Act is here live every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and noon Eastern Standard Time. And we're just we're just moving along here, and we're going to be bringing on different kinds of guests. I have all sorts of people lined up, from chefs to that have great ideas on how to quickly and efficiently and within a financial range be able to create meals that are easy for your family. We have all different energy guests, all different people that have been wonderful people in my life that I want to share with you. So, once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you're not alone here on the Family Balancing Act.